The sun had not even risen when drivers on Interstate 75 in Tennessee stepped into one of the most terrifying traffic disasters in American history. What began as a normal December morning instantly turned into chaos so severe that the highway looked like a war zone. In seconds, a dense wall of fog dropped over the highway, visibility vanished, and nearly 100 vehicles collided in a chain reaction so unstoppable that even trained investigators later said there was simply no time for anyone to escape. This is the story of the 1990 Interstate 75 fog disaster, the largest traffic pileup in United States history by total vehicles involved, and one of the most haunting examples of how nature, speed, and timing can combine into catastrophe. December 11th, 1990 began quietly in McMinn County. The temperature was cool, traffic was light, and people were heading to work as usual. I-75 is a major north-south route through Tennessee connecting Knoxville to Chattanooga. It cuts through farmland, rolling hills, and stretches of land near the Hiwassee River, but this region has a dangerous secret. The river valley can create sudden heavy fog. Moisture from the nearby water can rapidly condense, forming fog so thick that drivers describe it as slamming into a wall. That morning, the fog rolled in faster than anyone expected. One moment, drivers could see the taillights ahead, and the next moment, everything disappeared. Visibility dropped to near zero in seconds. Drivers varied in their reactions. Some slammed on their brakes in the middle of the highway. Others tried to slow down gradually. A few never even saw that fog was ahead. That combination created the perfect scenario for disaster. The first collisions began shortly after 9 a.m. A few cars hit each other in the southbound lanes when the fog suddenly engulfed the road. Within moments, more vehicles behind them crashed as well. A tractor trailer slammed into a car already stopped on the roadway. That new crash became an obstacle for the next set of drivers. Within minutes, the pileup grew out of control, and both sides of E75 became scenes of destruction. The fog was so thick that drivers said they could hear cars crashing around them, but they had no idea where the impacts were coming from. Some people stepped out of their vehicles trying to help others, only to hear more crashes suddenly happening only feet away. Emergency responders later said they could not see more than a few yards ahead, even on foot. The screams, the metal tearing, and the sound of explosions from ruptured fuel tanks filled the air. In total, 99 vehicles became involved in the disaster. Cars, pickup trucks, and 12 tractor trailers were part of the massive pileup. Several of the semi-trucks were carrying heavy loads, which made the impacts more violent. Some cars were crushed under the weight of the trucks. Others were pushed off the road entirely. The entire stretch of the interstate became blocked with twisted wreckage stretching nearly half a mile. Emergency response units from across multiple counties raced toward the scene, but even they struggled to reach the crash. The fog was still dangerously thick. Several fire engines and ambulances had to crawl forward at extremely slow speeds to avoid becoming part of the wreckage themselves. Firefighters described hearing shouting and crying before they could actually see any victims. When they finally reached the center of the pileup, the devastation was unlike anything they had seen before. 12 people died in the accident and 42 were injured. Investigators stated that the combination of near-zero visibility, sudden fog formation, and varied driver reaction times created the chain reaction. Some drivers slowed down quickly, others did not see a reason to brake until it was too late. Because the fog arrived suddenly and with full density, drivers could not adjust in time. The National Transportation Safety Board launched a detailed investigation. They found that the fog in that area had been an ongoing issue for years. In fact, there had been several smaller pileups in the same region before the 1990 disaster. When moisture from the Hiwassee River rises and settles over the interstate, conditions can change at a moment's notice. The NTSB concluded that this particular fog bank was extremely dense and formed very quickly, leaving drivers with almost no chance to react. Because of the scale of the disaster, Tennessee officials began installing new safety features along the fog-prone section of I-75. These included warning signs that activate when fog is detected, improved lighting, special sensors that monitor visibility, and electronic message boards that warn drivers to slow down. State officials also added gates that can physically close the interstate if fog becomes severe enough. These upgrades have prevented similar large-scale disasters from happening again. Survivors described the crash as pure confusion and terror. Many did not even realize they were in a pileup until they exited their vehicles and saw the destruction. Drivers remember hearing crashes echoing through the fog and feeling vibrations from impacts they could not see. In interviews years later, several survivors said the sound of metal colliding still haunted them long after the event. The 1990 Interstate 75 fog disaster remains the largest vehicle pileup in United States history. It stands as a reminder of how fast conditions can change on the road and how dangerous sudden visibility loss can be. What makes this accident so tragic is that no one made a reckless decision. No one was speeding through a storm. Drivers simply had no warning, and no technology existed at the time to alert them. It was nature and timing coming together in the worst possible way. Today, the section of I-75 where the disaster occurred is monitored closely, and improved safety systems help protect drivers from the deadly fog that caused the chain reaction. But the memory of that day remains a powerful lesson. Weather conditions can change with little warning, and even the most normal morning commute can become dangerous in an instant. The survivors, the families of the victims, and the first responders will never forget the devastation of December 11th, 1990, when a quiet Tennessee highway transformed into one of the worst traffic disasters in American history. Thank you for watching this story. If you enjoyed learning something new today, make sure to subscribe, like the video, and leave a comment telling us what you thought of this story.